Hey, Alpha fam, welcome back to another episode of Alpha Commission. Today on Alpha Commission, of course, we're going to go over that just bleed out on the altcoins chart. Guys, Bitcoin dominance has been rising as, of course, people have been fleeing into Bitcoin just to kind of get away from the volatility that's been in the markets. Now, that volatility has primarily come from, this kind of resurgence in inflation, guys. So that's just putting a little bit of a kink in the plans of the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. The stock market has been counting on the fact that the Federal Reserve would lower interest rates 3 times this year. And so they counted their chickens before they're hatched. They front ran the news. And of course, now that it may be that there's only going to be 2 cuts this year, maybe who knows how many cuts there's actually going to be. There's just been a little bit of a correction, and people's attitudes have to get adjusted. And that's what all this wavering really is about, especially in the traditional markets, which of course does impact Bitcoin and crypto. Guys, let's just go ahead and take a look at Bitcoin here. We are on the 4-hour chart. In my last episode, I was saying that we were down here in the low 60s, and I was saying, look for us to pump up to 70K, and that you could trust me on that because I have a pretty high hit rate on being correct about these things. And sure enough, we nearly just pumped straight up to that 70K area. We bullishly had a pullback, and then sure enough, we're just right back at 70K, like I mentioned. So, guys, I told you I'm not going to just make video after video after video just to be trying to get some type of advertising or something like that, like some of these influencers do. I'm just putting out videos that I think are relevant to you guys, and that means maybe every 3 days, it may be every other day, it may be once every 2 weeks. It's just when there's something relevant in the charts. And what the charts was telling me last time was that we were likely to be pumping from the low 60s up to the 70s. And guys, previous to that, I was telling you that we were likely to have some pullbacks, that sort of thing. Now that we're in this current area that we're at, we can see 2 things going on for today that are very important to this chart, because a lot of people might be just looking at this chart and thinking, yeah, there's kind of this double top that might be forming, and that could just drop us down to hell. Guys, yeah, that's possible if we do drop, and then the bulls would be saying, no, there's an accumulation wedge, and this thing is just accumulating to the upside, and we are just going to go gangbusters to the upside. And so both of these theories, they have their merits. Basically, we're just in the middle of that. Why are we in the middle of that? Because if you do have an accumulation wedge, it's only valid if you have the breakout and you take out the high over here. That's when we're going to get into this bull zone, essentially if we take out 74,000. And where does that double top come into relevance? That's if we basically take out the neckline down here. There's a little bit of a wiggle room. You can see this wick over here. We got a little bit of liquidity that we could kind of just flick into and bounce off of. But if we do take out 59,000 and kind of hold in this area for a little bit too long, that's going to look bear flaggy. That's going to look like a double top that could easily take us to this, this kind of juicy kind of, bullish order block down here, which I'm sure that we would bounce off of. But yeah, that would probably be a little bit of a kiss of death there for the bulls in the current orientation. However, we're not even close to being there, okay, guys? So that would be your bear zone. Where are we right now? We're just in the middle of the bull and the bear zone, and we're a little bit on the bullish side, okay? Now, in terms of our, higher time frames, where can we see ourselves at? Well, we're just a hair above the weekly volatility pivot. That's going to close in about 3 days. Anyway, on Sunday. And so, guys, if we are above 69,750, right, by the close of the week, okay, by the end of Sunday, then I'm going to say, the bulls are kind of leading the charge. Like the bulls really captured this week, guys. But if we're underneath 69,750, then maybe we could have some pullbacks. Also, if we just have like a little dip and just have a little bit of pullback, again, it's no big deal until we violate that bear zone. But really, I'd be looking to just find a little bit of a bounce, maybe on this 200 4-hour EMA, maybe the 300 4-hour EMA, or perhaps this just juicy order block down here around this 60,000. Maybe tapping into that liquidity and just kind of faking everyone out with a little bit of a bear trap, right? And again, only if we get stuck under there would I really get worried about that. If we do dip down as low as the low 60s again, really what I'm going to be paying attention to is whether or not this was kind of a distribution setting up a creek, right? And then I'm going to look to see, are we going to jump this creek and then, have signs of strength? And this would be a clear Wyckoff pattern that would be reaccumulation and could take us massively to the upside. So I will be paying attention to whether or not we lose this area convincing or not, should we have a pullback. I'm not calling for a pullback unless we perhaps get below that 69,750 at the end of the week, guys, okay? As for today, we do have the 3-day closing, and so if we do close above 71,160, that's going to be a higher time frame, a bullish close, and that could also just give us a chance at testing that bull zone. Whether or not we fail the first time, who cares? Like, that's just it's just a bullish sign in general to capture a 3-day volatility pivot. Okay. Well, right now we're underneath that. So again, like the chart is just suggesting that the week's not really relevant yet. It's not shut yet. But the 3 days closing today, we're closing underneath the 3-day volatility pivot, perhaps in an hour and 45 minutes. Currently we're at 70,200. We need to be above 71,160 to capture that pivot. And if we're not, then maybe we could just explore these lows or something. Just kind of fill out these order blocks or something. Again, a good way to kind of shake people out would just be to set this up as a potential double top in people's minds, and then maybe dip into this liquidity and then bounce up. That could also happen by the end of the week, and that would just kind of make people think that we were going to drop perhaps down here, when in fact we just kind of recapture this level. So there's a lot of tricky stuff that can happen before the end of the week, maybe even into next week, and we're just going to be paying attention to this, okay? Alternatively, we could just ping pong between these levels and go sideways forever. Going sideways is the same thing as a massive correction. So if anyone's calling for a massive correction, again, like time is money. So if we just go sideways, it's the same thing as having a correction to the downside because people's time get wasted, right? And so it's the same thing as basically taking money out of people's wallets, okay? And then all the enthusiasm dies, and so the perma bulls kind of calm down. The liquidity gets taken, the leverage gets taken out of the market because people don't really know what we're doing. We're just going sideways, and so that's how markets can be calmed down, just by going sideways in these consolidation areas. And if your alts are continuing to bleed, just understand that because of that volatility, in the traditional markets especially, everyone's just kind of fleeing a little bit to the little bit more safer asset. And so in crypto, of course, this is all very high risk. You could lose everything being in crypto, but of course, the safest asset in crypto would be Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin dominance just continues to hold strong as people in crypto are fleeing a little bit towards those more safer coins, especially Bitcoin. And that's where the money is coming out of your coins into these new coins. Guys, I'm going to wrap it up for there. That's your alpha for the day. Stay safe and happy trading.